Okay, let's talk about one of the most dangerous cosmetic procedures there is. And I've talked about this before, but want to go into a little bit more detail about it. But I'm going to tell you what this guy said on YouTube a couple days ago. I'll see if I can find the video, but I remembered what he said, trust me. He is a high earner. He makes very good money. And all his friends are in the same financial bracket. They have, you know, class, prestige, money, they're comfortable, good job, comfortable lifestyle because they make very good money. And he said, out of his own mouth, he said, he was talking about BBLs, which is considered it's called a Brazilian butt lift. It's not really lifting your butt as it is expanding your butt. But he said, myself and you know, my friends were all in the same bracket and all this. He said the only guys who would think that's awesome are ghetto guys. Guys from the ghetto, dudes from the hood, they may think that's fascinating and that's great. He said, but higher class men, especially men within a certain prestige and a certain financial bracket, they don't think that's cute at all. So Pookie might love it, but this person over here who is a high earner, he's not going to be okay with that. And the thing of it is, if you aren't happy with who you are on the inside, there is no surgery in the world that's going to make you all of a sudden accept yourself and all of a sudden love yourself. It doesn't work like that. So there was a guy talking about Lil Kim, and he said that she went overboard with the surgeries, but at the same time, if you look at her past, her father was very abusive to her. And so she felt bad about herself and she tried to fix it with multiple surgeries, but that never works because inside your brain is where the problem is. If you've been abused or you've always been chastised or you've always been told you're never going to amount to anything, you're a big fat zero. If you hear that often enough, you start to believe it, and then you become a young adult who is highly insecure. You can't accept yourself the way you are. And instead of going to therapy, which is the proper way to fix that, and I'm going to go out on a limb and also address people that are changing who they were born as every 5 minutes. Every other person feels the need to do that stupid shit. If you don't get yourself resolved in your head, you could change anything in the world about yourself. And you know what? You're still going to be miserable because you didn't address the root of the problem. You only addressed what's on the surface level. Your appearance is a surface level. That's not the epitome of who you are. Okay? And then you spend tons and tons and tons of money, and you may not be happy with your procedure. There's excruciating pain. You could get infections and you could die. You need to have that surgery so bad, and you don't care if you die. You did, and you know what? Let me tell you something else. Don't be talking to these clinics and whatnot because they're getting paid when you get this done. So if you're making a massive mistake, which you're risking your life, there's no medical procedure I want to die for, but I never had the need or desire for cosmetic surgery anyway. I've had enough surgeries that weren't cosmetic, okay? Um, you're talking to the doctors and the representatives and all these people that work in the companies, these clinics or whatever, they're going to tell you everything you want to hear because that's how they get paid. But if you're unhappy with what you look like, it's better for you to talk to a therapist. You know how many women, we're going to go on a little tangent. You know how many women I've seen that have gotten fillers in their mouth in their lips to the point where they look like a duck? And when I see before pictures, she was actually really, really, really pretty. What the freaking hell do you need to look like got stung in the lips by 100 wasps? That's not cute. You look like Donald Duck. You have to have a nose job. You have to have your lips filled. You have to risk dying to get a big ass. What for? Some people start to look deformed. Some people are real thin on top, and all of a sudden, pa-bam! That's just going to get you a lot of negative attention. Dudes don't respect you when you don't have one. Mm, mm. They don't respect a gigantic caboose. They don't think that's cute unless they're Pookie on a corner with gold teeth in his mouth, braids in his hair, slinging dope. I mean, your personality is not in your ass. Your personality is in your spirit. You know, you, it just doesn't make sense to be willing to die to get a big ass. That don't make no sense. It really doesn't. So all that money that you would be spending to get that done, you need to put that towards a therapist. That's way too much money. And then you may die. Women are dying left and right, and they don't care if they die, which is stupid and ridiculous and absurd. So let's talk about some of the complications with this procedure. It's not worth it. Mothers have buried their adult daughters because of this stupidness, all right? The BBL is widely considered the most dangerous cosmetic procedure due to its high risk of potentially fatal complications. Specifically, the procedure carries a risk of fat embolism, where injected fat enters the bloodstream and blocks blood vessels, potentially leading to death. And it's a violent procedure. They shove that, whatever that thing is called, that they shove the fat in your butt cheeks. They do it violently. There's nothing gentle about that. Okay. It's very aggressive. The primary danger of BBL is the risk of fat embolisms, particularly when fat is injected into the gluteal muscles, where large blood vessels are located. There's a high mortality rate compared to other cosmetic procedures. The BBL has a higher mortality rate, with some estimates suggesting it could be as high as 1 in 3,000 to 5,000. I'm sure it's higher than that. Risk of fat necrosis. Injected fat may not survive and can die, leading to complications like lumps or irregularities. You might need additional surgery. Up to 50% of injected fat may not survive, requiring further surgery or corrective procedures, says the NHS, National Health Society, I believe, or something. Complications from liposuction. While liposuction is a part of the BBL procedure, it also carries its own risks, such as infection, bleeding, and blood clots. While BBL is considered the most dangerous, other procedures also carry significant risks, like liposuction. Though a common procedure, it carries risk of fat embolism, infection, and other complications. Fat transfer procedures other than a BBL. While fat transfer can be safer when performed by experienced surgeons, it still carries risk like fat necrosis, which means dead fat, infection, and the potential for requiring additional surgeries, according to the NHS. butt augmentation with implants. While implants are an alternative to fat transfer for buttock augmentation, they also carry risks like infection, implant displacement, and the need for future revisions. So things to consider are surgeon experience, patient selection, depending on your medical history, realistic expectations. It's crucial for it's crucial for patients to have realistic expectations about the outcomes of cosmetic procedures and understand the potential risk and complications involved. Excuse me. In conclusion, while BBL is the most dangerous cosmetic procedure due to its high risk of fat embolism and mortality, other procedures also carry significant risk. Thorough research, careful surgeon selection, and realistic expectations are essential before undergoing any cosmetic procedure. There is absolutely no need for that. It's like once something becomes a trend, all of a sudden everybody's doing it. Okay? So many people are changing who they were born as. I'm going to tell you who started that. People call him Barry. Okay? He used to be one of the admins. He started that stupid shit because his wife is a man perpetrating a woman. Now, I don't really care what you and your spouse want to perpetrate, but you don't lie to the American public and perpetrate this completely different scenario, and all of it is a massive, massive lie. When you represent your country, you should be honest. You should be open, honest, and you shouldn't be a snake. And you shouldn't be lying to the American people, because if you're lying about your personal life, then anything and everything is off limit. I mean, you could just lie about anything. There's nothing that's off limits. Okay? But the truth came out. I was very slow to pick up the truth. I finally figured it out. But because that individual's married to a man and that person's pretending that they're a woman, that he's the one that started this stupid shit, encouraging people to change who the fuck they are. Your bitch-ass husband didn't change anything. He's still got his pecker. You know how I know? Because he was dancing on the Ellen DeGeneres show, wearing white pants. Okay? And that thing was, I don't know if he was thrusting his hips or whatever dance move he was doing, you could see his wanker hitting the front of his pants, okay? He didn't get his husband to get rid of the wanker. Sure didn't. Because that's giving Barry pleasure, see? I'm not going to have my husband perpetrating that he's a wife, but my wife. We know better. You don't want your husband getting surgery, but you try to encourage other people to change who the hell they are because you know people are easily manipulated. So then you use your power to push people into stupid shit. This was never, ever, ever happening to this degree. In fact, I never even heard of it until his stupid ass was in office. Fucking bastard. Everything's going to come out. Anybody who's done evil, you're going to get yours. Oh my God, you're going to get it. And I blame people for following what that fool said. You don't change who you are for nobody. I don't give a shit what they say and how they have, manipulated, whatever and whoever to entice you to do that. No, you don't let nobody do that to you. So if you're easily led by people in power, there's a whole hell of a lot more wrong with you than you have body dysmorphia or gender dysmorphia or whatever the hell is going on with you. You should go to a shrink. You don't listen to what some stupid bastard said who's lied to you ever since his dumbass was in office. Okay, let me calm down. I can't stand that. Massive lies. Perpetrating, we're married to a woman and we got 2 girls. Bullshit and triple layers of bullshit. I've seen the girls' parents. Real parents, biological parents. Don't fucking play with me, you little bastard. He had his cook, the guy who he hired as a cook, he had him murdered too, by the way. I've talked about that before. Because his cook was writing a tell-all book and he knew all their goddamn business and all of a sudden he ended up dead. Sometimes you gotta think, okay? Whew, he's gonna get his. Oh God, he's gonna get his. I can't wait. I hope I live to see it. Anyway, Anyway, it's extremely dangerous. It's not worth it. Your personality is not in your ass. There is absolutely no reason for you to alter your body that way. There's no need for you to alter who you were born as, because if you change everything about yourself or anything major about yourself, the problem is still going to remain because it's not in your body. That's not where the problem is. The problem's in your brain. And you need psychiatric counseling. Thankfully, I don't let people make me do anything. Oh, I'm representing the country and I'm going to start telling certain people can't use certain restrooms. Are you fucking kidding me? You're supposed to be worried about our countries that want to come after us. You're supposed to be worried about way bigger things, and you worried about what gender is going in what restroom. This is when all this shit started, all the psychological mind bend. That's when all that shit started. That's all right. Karma, karma, karma. Anyway, this procedure is not worth it. You could die. Parents are burying their adult children. In some cases, they don't even know their kid's dead. They may not find out right away because their kid, well, they might not have told their parents. They maybe didn't even tell their parents. And a doctor from another country is calling you saying, yes, you, the parents of so-and-so. Oh, yes, we are. Your daughter had a medical procedure and she has passed away. What? What are you even talking about? You know what I mean? One of the most popular places for people to get it done is the Dominican Republic, because I heard one guy on YouTube talking about I had to go to the Dominican Republic. I wasn't going to be able to like leave the airport or anything. I wanted to be careful because I had a 4-hour layover and everybody there was super curvy. The women were like major curvy. And he's like, what the hell's going on? Are they born like this or what? He contacted, I don't know what he does for a living, but he contacted one of his female assistants and he said, why are all these women so curvy here? She goes, because that's, where a lot of women, most people go to Dominican Republic to get it done. He's like, what? Everybody, all these women were like, kabam, Your natural butt can be gigantic, or it could be medium sized, or it could actually be small. If a real man who's healthy in his mind, keyword healthy, if he cares about you, he don't give a damn if your butt is flat like an ironing board, or your natural behind is a caboose, or it's just medium size. He's not going to care. Okay? If the hospital were to call him and say, yeah, are you the husband of, Susie? Susie so-and-so? Yes, I am. Well, she's very ill, and we suggest you get to the hospital right away. He's not going to be worried about your behind. He's going to be worried about, oh my God, what's going on? He's not going to want to hold your backside in his hands as you die. He's going to want to hold your actual hand. We have to let go of physical appearances. as women, especially. Men are dumb. Most men are fucking stupid. So all they care about is tits and ass, tits and ass, tits and ass, tits and ass. They don't care about nothing else because they have a juvenile 14-year-old, a horny 14-year-old mentality. We have to be grown-ups. Us women, we have to be grown-ups. And we have to stop emphasizing our bodies. They don't respect us even when we don't have cosmetic surgery. They objectify us. A guy may act like you get a gigantic caboose. He may act like, oh, baby, I love you so much. You're so beautiful. And he may be buttering you up so he can hit it and then brag to his friends. You know that woman that got a butt so big it looks like a school bus? Yeah, man. I tapped that. Nah, you lying. Nah, I'm for real, dude. He may be doing that for bragging rights and then drop you like a bad habit afterwards. He might even be laughing to his friends. They cracking jokes about your big, gigantic butt. There's no surgery worth dying for. You got to learn to accept yourself the way you are. We are like Russell Stovers, you know? You don't know what candy you're going to get until you bite into it. Life is like a box of chocolates. You just never know what you're going to get. And there's nothing wrong with that. But getting bigger boobs, bigger butt especially, for what? They objectify us as it is. Why do you want to look like a circus clown? Because some women look absolutely ridiculous after they had surgery. So not only did you risk your life, but you look crazy, potentially. The fact that you could be dead should be enough to make you say, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. No, 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 no. I'm not doing it. Put some padding in your clothes if you feel like you have to have a curvier behind. But a person who cares about you is not going to care about the size of your ass. They're not going to care. They want to know about who you are. Well, in an imaginary world where men are not objectifying women for sex and mostly only sex, in an imaginary world where a man is capable of caring about you as a human being, let's have a fantasy in our head for a minute. He don't care about your backside. He cares about who you are as a person. Can I love her? Can she eventually love me? Is she going to be a good life partner? How does she feel about having kids? What are her religious beliefs? You know, I wouldn't start off early asking about political beliefs because that might be a little touchy. But how do they feel about relocating out of the city? You know, especially in a long-term relationship. But a mature adult is not going to be like, I'm going to bypass all of those important discussions. And my biggest concern is how wide is her ass? That's my biggest concern. Some people have had the surgery and they've been laughed at. One girl said she only goes out at night to avoid people because people look and laugh and point. She probably went overboard when she had the surgery, or I don't know, they messed up the surgery or whatever, or her butt doesn't match her body, and everybody's laughing. Guys and girls are laughing, pointing, staring at her butt, not in a way of, damn, that looks good, in a way of, what the hell? And you spend all that money to be a circus clown? If you survived? Like I said, the fact that you could die, that should be a wake-up call right out the gate. What you're going through is body dysmorphia. You cannot accept your body the way it is, or you see your body in a way that it actually isn't, but in your mind it is. It's almost like a cognitive dissonance type of deal. And the only thing that's going to rectify that is professional therapy. Not going under the knife, risking your life, risking the doctor having to call you and or to call your parents and say your child is dead because she was more fascinated with getting an ass, a big ass, instead of she didn't give two shits if she died. Well, she's dead now, and we've got to make arrangements to get her from our country to your country. Okay, that's not going to be a small amount of money. That's going to be expensive. Can your parents afford to fly you back to the US if you're from the US? I mean, it's just ridiculous. You have to learn to accept yourself the way you are. I have seen pictures of women, many, many, many women who were so pretty before they had procedures done. There's one lady who I think her husband was a art dealer, supposedly, or something, and he wanted her to always look like a cat. So she had all these a gazillion procedures, and she literally looks horrible. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just telling you, she looks horrible. Her eyes are narrow and slanty, and her cheeks are all puffed out. She looks ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you know that everywhere she goes, people are staring at her. Like, what the hell is wrong with her? Come on. Learn to accept yourself for who you are. Don't be changing who you were born as. I don't give a damn who told you to do it or dropped hints. And you thought because he was somebody of power, you should listen. And you're like, oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Don't you dare let nobody fuck your head like that. Don't. Do you really feel the way you do, or you let somebody influence you to feel that way? Oh, snap. You may have a flat butt, so who gives a shit? Who gives a damn? If people can't accept you for who and what you are, they need to hit the road, kick rocks, go. Get. Get to getting. Women with flat butts get married all the time. Women with no boobs get married all the time. You know why? Because he looked past that. He was a mature adult. And he looked past that because your body doesn't determine if you're a good person or not. It's just the outside package. Doesn't have anything to do with who you are. We have to learn to accept ourselves the way we are. And don't be talking to surgeons because they're going to talk you into it because that's how they make money. And he's going to give you a shopping list of things we could do. We could lift this, cut this, do. He'll give you a whole list of everything on your body that should be fixed. When there's nothing wrong with your body. It's only in your head. It's only in your head where the problem is. I have seen the most attractive women have so many procedures and they do not look good anymore because they went overboard. You shouldn't have had surgery at all. Do you remember what you used to look like? You were beautiful. Somebody made a killing off you financially, but you didn't get nothing good out of it because you went overboard. Put that money towards therapy. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than surgery. Y'all take care. Much love. Bye-bye.